Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going super deep, exploring Sikh wisdom.
Sounds fascinating.
Oh, it is. We're diving into excerpts from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji,
The central religious text of Sikhism.
exactly. We're going to unpack all sorts of ideas.
Like what? Give me a taste.
Oh, we're talking about actions and consequences, like what you do really matters.
Karma.
Yeah, karma. And then there's the whole power of the divine name.
That's a core concept.
And we'll even touch on how fleeting all this worldly stuff is. Riches, looks, all that jazz.
That's all temporary, huh?
Seriously. But hold on, one passage really blew my mind. It compares our bodies to a field, like a farmer's field.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this field thing. Which Ang is this?
Ang 23 says we got to cultivate our inner landscape, just like a farmer does with their crops.
Powerful analogy. What we plant, we harvest.
Exactly. But here's the question. If our body is the field, what are those seeds we're planting? What are we putting out there?
That's where karma comes in, right? Our actions have consequences.
That's what Ang 730 says. As one plants, so does he harvest. Whatever he earns, he eats. Straightforward, isn't it?
No escaping it. But sometimes I wonder, life throws those curveballs, right? Stuff happens that's out of our control. How does that fit with this whole karma thing?
Like a freak hailstorm wiping out a farmer's crops. It happens.
Exactly. It's not always about what we do. Sometimes it's about what life throws at us.
So how do we reconcile that with this idea that we reap what we sow?
I think it's about recognizing that even when things go haywire,
We still have choices.
right, we still have choices. We can choose how we respond, how we deal with it.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that works.
Yeah.
So even in the face of chaos,
We have agency. That's what Ang 432 emphasizes.
that is verse right. Do not blame anyone else. Blame instead your own actions. I remember that one. Powerful stuff.
Really hits home, doesn't it? Whatever I did, for that I have suffered. I do not blame anyone else. Taking responsibility.
So it's all about looking inward, not pointing fingers.
Exactly. Owning our part in it all. But we all mess up sometimes.
Oh, tell me about it. So where do we go from there? Back to the field analogy. What happens when we plant the wrong seeds?
Well, the text offers this beautiful concept of the divine name.
Name, right.
Yes, name. It's not just a word. It's like divine power, presence.
Okay, so how does that help when we've messed up?
It's about remembering, meditating on the name, like finding comfort and guidance when you need it most, reconnecting with your true nature.
And that's what Ang 24 talks about.
Exactly. The speaker admits their flaws, all the things they didn't do right, but finds refuge in the divine name.
So even when we stumble,
There's support.
I like that.
And there's this striking image in Ang 630 Silks. It compares the name to fire.
Fire. How so?
It says, a large pile of firewood will burn if a small fire is applied. It's like, even a tiny spark can ignite something huge.
And that's the name. The spark.
Yes.
Mm.
Just a moment's focus on the name can lead to enlightenment. Isn't that amazing?
It makes you wonder, though, what keeps that spark from igniting in the first place? What are those obstacles that block us from that connection?
Oh, there are so many things. Doubts, insecurities, getting caught up in the material world, all that stuff.
But we can overcome them, right?
Absolutely. The text gives us a roadmap. Seek wisdom, cultivate inner stillness, practice selfless service. All these things help.
So it's not just about saying the name, it's about creating the right conditions within ourselves.
Exactly. Aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the divine will. Making that connection.
This reminds me of what Ang 23 said about wealth, youth, beauty, all those things being like fleeting guests.
Oh, yeah. Nothing in this material world lasts forever.
That's what Ang 581 emphasizes. Everyone leaves this world eventually, no matter how much stuff they have. It calls the world a false show.
Poignant, isn't it?
Makes you think. So if all those things are temporary, where do we find real value? What should we be focusing on?
That's where the guru comes in.
The guide.
Exactly. Ang 581 tells us, do not search for the true Lord far away. Recognize the word of the Shabbat, the divine teachings, in each and every heart.
So the treasure isn't out there, it's within us.
That's the message.
But how do we tap into that inner truth, that word of the Shabbat in our hearts?
Ang 730 uses this analogy of cleansing a vessel. It says even the dirtiest pot won't get clean just by washing it.
It needs something more.
Right. It says, through the Gurdwara, the Guru's gate, one obtains understanding. By being washed through this gate, it becomes pure.
So it's not just about external actions or rituals, it's about the understanding we gain through the Guru's teachings.
Precisely. The guru guides us, helps us see beyond the illusions of the material world, helps us connect with that inner truth.
Okay, I'm seeing how this all connects to the body as a field idea. Planting seeds with our actions, seeking nourishment from the divine name, weeding out those attachments to fleeting things with the guru's help. It's quite the process.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is.
Mm.
But let's be real, life throws curveballs. Things get messy.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So how do these teachings help us navigate those rough waters? Aang 878 comes to mind.
Oh, that's a great one. It really captures that feeling of vulnerability. It talks about this wobbly boat filled with sins, and there's this rising wind.
Wow, I can practically feel that boat rocking. But what's with the sins part? What do you think that represents?
I think it's all that baggage we carry, Past mistakes, regrets, those choices that led us astray, those things weigh us down.
Makes you realize how easily we can get knocked off course. So how do we stay afloat in those stormy seas? What's the answer?
Well, the speaker in that Aang turns to the guru for help, asks for blessings to get through the storm. It's like,
Reaching out for a lifeline.
yeah, exactly. Recognizing that we need support, guidance from something bigger than ourselves, like that connection we were talking about earlier.
Like having a seasoned captain on board to guide us through the rough patches. But even with the best captain, there can still be dangers, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the text talks about those too. Things that can lead us further astray, like traps.
You mean like getting caught up in worldly desires and rituals? I remember we were talking about that earlier. Focusing too much on the external instead of cultivating our inner landscape. Could that actually hinder our spiritual growth?
That's exactly what Aang 636 suggests. It calls hope and desire entrapments, and those rituals and ceremonies potential traps.
Okay, I'm curious. How can those things, even hope, be harmful?
It's not that they're bad in themselves, but it's about attachment. Clinging too tightly to desires, to outcomes, it creates suffering.
Because we're so fixated on what's outside.
Right, and we lose sight of that inner peace, that contentment that's already there.
So even things that seem positive can hold us back if we're not careful.
Exactly, they can distract us from the real work.
Which is?
Cultivating inner wisdom, connecting with the divine within, that's where true growth happens.
Okay, but how do we let go of those things that feel so important to us? How do we loosen that grip?
Aang 637 offers a great perspective. It says, scrubbing with water, the body can be clean, but the body becomes dirty again.
External cleansing is temporary.
Exactly. But then it says, bathing in the supreme essence of spiritual wisdom, the mind and body become pure.
So true purity comes from cleansing the mind with wisdom.
Yes. And when we're so attached to desires and rituals, we stay focused on the outside. We miss out on that true, lasting purity that comes from within, from connecting with the divine.
This brings us back to that image of the spark from Aang 636. The spark of the name igniting a whole pile of firewood. It feels like that spark is the key to unlocking all of this.
It really is. It's a powerful metaphor for the name's transformative power. When we connect with it, it burns away those impurities, all that attachment and illusion. It reveals our true nature.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. We have karma, personal responsibility, the divine name, a source of comfort and guidance, and the understanding that all this worldly stuff is temporary. It's like weaving a tapestry of wisdom.
I love that analogy.
And the guru's there to guide us through it all.
A crucial role, not just teaching, but guiding, helping us navigate those complexities and connect with our inner truth.
Like a spiritual compass.
Perfect. And remember, the text says this wisdom isn't somewhere far off. It's right here within us.
Aang 581, right. Recognize the word of the Shabbat in each and every heart. Like a call to look inward.
Exactly. But it's not about retreating from the world.
Right. Remember Aang 23, the body as a field. It's about actively engaging with the world, planting those seeds of good actions.
Yes. Cultivating our inner landscape through our thoughts, intentions, and actions, making conscious choices.
It's not about renouncing the world. It's about aligning our engagement with our values, our spiritual aspirations, bringing those two things together.
And that's where karma comes full circle. Everything we do, everything we think, it's planting a seed.
And those seeds grow into our reality.
We have so much power to shape our lives through our choices.
That's amazing.
And when we make those choices based on the Guru's teachings, we create a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. A truly fulfilling life.
This has been an incredible deep dive. It's amazing how these verses from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they seem so simple at first.
But they're so profound.
They offer such deep insights into the human experience. It's amazing.
It's a testament to their enduring power, their ability to speak to us across time and cultures. They're universal.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore, to contemplate.
There really is. And that's the beauty of these teachings. They unfold in layers, You can revisit them throughout your life and always find something new, something deeper.
Each encounter sparks new insights.
It's a continuous journey of discovery.
It is. And for our listener who might be feeling inspired to explore further,
Go for it.
Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is waiting. See what gems of wisdom you uncover.
It's an amazing journey.
It is. So until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep those seeds of wisdom growing. It's a journey that never really ends. Each verse is like a seed waiting to be planted.
And just like a seed, it needs the right conditions to grow. Time, nourishment.
Our understanding deepens as we live these teachings, as they transform us. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. So, if we were to sum it all up, what's the key takeaway for our listener? What's the one thing we want them to remember?
That's a good question. What would you say?
I think it comes down to this. You have the power to shape your own reality. It's all about your thoughts, your intentions, your actions.
It all starts with us.
Yeah. Cultivate that inner landscape with wisdom, with compassion.
And don't forget that spark within, that divine connection.
That's the key. And it leads us to that question we wanted to leave our listeners with. Remember Ang 23?
The body is a field one.
Exactly. If your body is the field, what are you planting today? What seeds are you putting out there?
Makes you think about the harvest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are we creating for ourselves? What are we creating for the world?
Big questions. It's about the choices we make every day, big and small.
Are you planting kindness, generosity, understanding?
Or are we planting anger, greed, division?
Those seeds grow too, unfortunately.
They do. The choice is ours.
And it's a reminder that our actions have a ripple effect. It's not just about us, it's about everyone.
It's about contributing to the well-being of all beings.
Exactly. It's such a beautiful message. It really resonates with the heart of Sikhism.
A call to action disguised as a question.
I love that. And I think that's what makes these teachings so powerful. They invite us to think, to make conscious choices, to strive to be better.
To find that strength within, through the divine name, through the Guru's wisdom.
It's not about rules or dogma. It's about a way of being, a way of living in the world that's grounded in compassion, in wisdom, in purpose. This has been an incredible journey. Thank you for taking us through this deep dive into Sikh wisdom.
It was my pleasure. I always find it so inspiring to explore these teachings and see how relevant they are today.
And for our listeners who are feeling inspired to explore further, pick up a copy of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji.
You won't regret it.
See what treasures you find. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep those seeds of wisdom growing.